In this video, we're diving deep into the hidden emotional traps that can silently hold you back. Unsolicited opinions, guilt that isn't yours, unrealistic expectations, and the quick fixes that never last. These are the subtle forces that can erode your confidence, drain your energy, and lead you down a path that isn't truly yours. Have you ever felt weighed down by the opinions of others or struggled with the constant need for external approval? This video will show you how to break free from those chains and reclaim your inner peace. Watch until the end to uncover powerful Stoic wisdom and practical tools to take back control of your life, protect your mental well-being, and start living authentically. You won't want to miss the profound insights that will empower you to navigate these emotional traps and thrive. Before we start, I'd appreciate your support. If you like the video, please subscribe and hit the bell to stay updated on future lessons. Let's dive deeper into the emotional roller coaster that comes with unsolicited opinions. Those uninvited, often unnecessary comments that swoop in like an unwelcome storm on a calm day. Have you ever felt like you're carrying the weight of opinions you never asked for? As if you're a magnet attracting criticisms, judgments, and advice that stick to you like unwanted glue. It's as though you're minding your own business, walking your unique path, and suddenly, someone barges in, offering their perspective as if you had a suggestions welcome sign tattooed on your forehead. Picture this. You're standing in line at the grocery store, eager to check out after a long day. Your cart is full of carefully selected fresh vegetables and fruits, and you're feeling proud of your healthy choices. Then, out of nowhere, the person behind you leans in, peering at your cart, and says, "Are you sure you need all that fiber?" Won't it, make things a little uncomfortable? In that instant, what felt like a simple trip to the store now feels like a personal attack, an unwanted critique of your choices. And just like that, bam, you're hit by an unsolicited opinion, and it's hard not to feel the sting. While these moments may seem harmless at first glance, they slowly erode your confidence, much like a corrosive substance eating away at your sense of self. Every time an unsolicited opinion comes your way, it chips away at the foundation of your dreams, your self-esteem, and your personal power. These offhand comments can be subtle but deadly, planting seeds of doubt and uncertainty where there should be firm confidence. You start to second-guess yourself. Am I making the right choice? Do they know something I don't? Before you know it, you're living your life according to the expectations and judgments of others, people who don't even walk in your shoes. The great Stoic philosopher, Marcus Aurelius, once wisely said, "Don't worry about other people's opinions unless they align with your own principles." This profound piece of wisdom reminds us that, ultimately, it's our own values, our inner compass, that should guide us, not the constant bombardment of external opinions. But let's be honest, easier said than done, right? So, how do we protect ourselves from the emotional turmoil caused by these unasked-for judgments? It's not about becoming a cold-hearted recluse who shuts everyone out. Instead, it's about building a strong internal filter, a radar that helps you distinguish between the noise and the truth. First, ask yourself, did I even ask for this opinion? If the answer is no, that's your first clue to pause and reflect. Next, consider the source. Does this person really know my life, my struggles, my goals? Do they have experience in this area? If it's your neighbor, who's never set foot in your professional world, giving you career advice, maybe it's not the voice you need to listen to. And finally, ask the most crucial question. Does this opinion align with my values, my dreams, my journey? Because at the end of the day, no one knows you better than you do. No one understands your deepest desires, your greatest fears, and your most personal motivations. This doesn't mean you should reject every piece of advice that comes your way. Sometimes, even unsolicited opinions can carry hidden gems of wisdom, nuggets of insight that, when carefully examined, might actually serve you well. The key is to become like a miner, sifting through the rubble of unsolicited opinions to find the rare, valuable pieces. Smile, say thank you, and then decide if this particular opinion is worth planting in your mental garden, or if it's just another weed that needs to be pulled out. Remember, your mind is a sacred garden. It's a space where your hopes, your ambitions, and your self-worth grow. You are the gardener, and you decide what is allowed to take root. So the next time someone offers you an opinion that wasn't asked for, don't be afraid to use your emotional pruning shears. Smile graciously, take what serves you, and let the rest drift away like fallen leaves in the wind. The power is in your hands. Nurture your garden, protect it, and allow only the most beautiful, nourishing thoughts to bloom. 2. Let's talk about one of the most subtle yet suffocating traps of life, the dangerous gift of other people's expectations. Have you ever felt like your life isn't really your own, as if you're playing a role in someone else's script? Imagine for a moment that your life is a vast, beautiful, blank canvas, and you, the artist, are holding the brush. You're poised, ready to craft a masterpiece that is uniquely yours, filled with the colors of your dreams, your passions, your aspirations. But suddenly, out of nowhere, bam! Your parents, your boss, your friends, even society itself barges in, each armed with their own palette of colors, demanding how you should paint your picture. You should become a doctor, your parents might say. Make sure you're married by 30. Society whispers in your ear. Get a stable job, buy a house, have kids, settle down. They all chant, echoing louder and louder until you find yourself overwhelmed, drowning in a sea of expectations that aren't even your own. And before you know it, that blank canvas, your canvas, becomes splattered with strokes and shapes you don't recognize, filled with choices that don't reflect your deepest desires or values. This gift of other people's expectations can be more dangerous than a venomous snake lurking in your garden. Why? Because these expectations don't come from random strangers or fleeting acquaintances. No, they often come from people you love, people whose opinions you hold in high regard. And that's precisely what makes them so difficult to ignore. But here's where it gets truly fascinating. History is brimming with stories of people who dared to shatter the chains of societal expectations and redefine what it means to live authentically. Think of Albert Einstein. Yes, the Einstein, the wild-haired genius who revolutionized physics. Did you know that his teachers once labeled him a mediocre student? They believed he would never amount to anything. Can you imagine what would have happened if Einstein had internalized those expectations, allowed them to define his path? We wouldn't have the theory of relativity, and the world would have been robbed of one of the greatest minds in human history. Einstein didn't just ignore expectations. He obliterated them. He had the audacity to think differently, to challenge the status quo, and in doing so, he changed our understanding of the universe itself. So, what does this teach us? It's not about rebelling against everyone and everything. It's about cultivating the discernment to recognize which expectations align with your true self and which ones need to be left behind. Enter our wise Stoic friends, who offer us a roadmap for navigating these turbulent waters. The philosopher Epictetus had a brilliant technique for handling the weight of others' expectations. He said, "Some things are within our control, and others are not." Such a simple truth, yet so profoundly liberating. Applying this wisdom to our current dilemma, we might say, you cannot control what others expect of you, but you can control how you respond to those expectations. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment number 1 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. The next time you feel the crushing pressure of someone else's dreams for you weighing on your shoulders, try this. First, pause. Take a deep, rounding breath and remind yourself that these are their expectations, not yours. You are not obliged to carry them. Second, ask yourself a vital question. Does this expectation align with my values, my dreams, my personal goals? If the answer is no, there's your answer. And third, instead of reacting with frustration or anger, thank them for their concern. Recognize that often these expectations come from a place of love or care, but that doesn't mean you have to adopt them. Let them go, like releasing a balloon into the sky. Free yourself from the tether. At the end of the day, remember this: the only person you truly have to live with is yourself. You are the one who wakes up every morning to face your reflection. So why not make this life your life? An exhilarating and authentic adventure that is fully yours. Imagine the beauty, the peace, the joy of living unshackled by others' expectations. What kind of life would you create if you stopped letting others hold the brush? The journey to inner peace, freedom, And authenticity is paved with moments like these, where you courageously choose you. You are the author of your own story, the artist of your own canvas. So, paint it boldly, fearlessly, and let the world marvel at the masterpiece that is your true self. Keep reading, my friend, because this is just the beginning. Together, we'll uncover more of the emotional traps that threaten to steal your joy, and how to break free, once and for all. 3. The hidden burden of favors with ulterior motives. Have you ever received a gift that seemed too good to be true? Imagine your life as a chess game. You're moving your pieces carefully, planning your strategy, when suddenly someone offers you an extra pawn. Sounds great, right? But what if that pawn is actually a Trojan horse, ready to destroy your defense from the inside? Favors with ulterior motives are exactly that. Poison gifts disguised as generosity. They may seem harmless at first, even beneficial, but they carry a hidden burden that can outweigh any apparent advantage. How do we identify these deceptive favors? Here are a few clues. First, observe the frequency. If someone is constantly offering favors for no apparent reason, it's time to raise the alarm. Second, pay attention to timing. If the favor arrives just when that person needs something from you, be suspicious. Third, listen to your intuition. If something feels off about a favor, it probably is. Fourth, analyze the consequences. Does the favor put you in a compromising position or force you to immediately return the gesture? Now, we're not saying you should become paranoid and reject all help. The key is developing a detector for genuine favors. Seneca, another of our Stoic friends, had a lot to say about true friendship and generosity. He believed that genuine favors are done simply for the pleasure of helping, without expecting anything in return. So, the next time someone offers you a favor, ask yourself, is this person acting like the Seneca in my life, or more like a disguised salesperson? Remember, not all favors are traps. There are genuinely generous people in the world. The trick is learning to distinguish them. And here's the most important part. Learn to say no without feeling guilty. If a favor doesn't feel right, if your instinct tells you there's a catch, it's perfectly fine to politely decline. Because, at the end of the day, your peace of mind is worth more than any favor. Don't let anyone make you feel indebted for something you didn't ask for. So, my friend, the next time someone offers you a favor that seems too good to be true, take a moment, breathe deeply, analyze the situation, and remember that in the game of life, you are the main player. Don't let anyone else move your pieces. For constant negativity, have you ever noticed how certain people seem to have a black cloud over their heads, raining pessimism on everything around them? Imagine your mind as a beautiful, flourishing garden. Now, think of those negative people as hungry snails, ready to devour every bud of positivity you're trying to cultivate. Sounds discouraging, right? The reality is that constant negativity is like a subtle poison that infiltrates our lives without us realizing it. At first, it may seem harmless, even normal. After all, who doesn't complain from time to time? But when negativity becomes the norm, it begins to erode our happiness and well-being. But don't just take my word for it. Science has a lot to say about this. Studies have shown that emotions are contagious. Yes, my friend, negativity can spread like an emotional cold. Researchers call this emotional contagion, and it's as real as the air you breathe. A study from Indiana University even found that prolonged exposure to negativity can affect your brain function. Can you imagine? Those constant complaints aren't just ruining your day. They could be rewiring your brain. So, what can we do? How can we protect ourselves from this subtle poison without becoming isolated hermits? Once again, our Stoic friends come to the rescue. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor, had a brilliant technique for maintaining serenity in the face of negativity. He said, "Choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel that you are being harmed, and you won't be." Sounds simple, right? But it's incredibly powerful. What Marcus Aurelius is teaching us is that we have the power to choose how we react to others' negativity. So, the next time you find yourself caught in a spiral of negativity, try this. 1. Take a deep breath and remember that other people's thoughts and emotions don't have to become your own. 2. Ask yourself, is this negativity bringing anything valuable to my life? If the answer is no, it's time to set boundaries. 3. Practice empathy. Sometimes, the most negative people are the ones suffering the most. Understand, but don't absorb. 4. Cultivate your own mental garden. Fill it with positive thoughts, gratitude, and focused actions. Remember, you can't control the negativity of others, but you can control how you respond to it. Don't let someone else's pessimism cloud your view of life. And if you find yourself surrounded by too much negativity, maybe it's time to make some changes in your social environment. After all, as the Greek philosopher Epictetus said, the key to happiness and success is choosing the right people to surround you. So, my friend, are you ready to detect and neutralize negativity in your life? Remember, your mind is a precious garden. Take care of it, nurture it, and don't let the weeds of negativity take root. Soon, we'll address the next emotional traps, but we've already learned valuable lessons on how to protect our peace of mind and live with freedom. Let's continue cultivating Stoic wisdom and strengthening our well-being. 5. The dangerous illusion of external validation. Have you ever found yourself obsessively checking your phone, anxiously waiting for that notification to tell you someone has liked your latest post? If so, you're not alone. Imagine your self-esteem as a balloon. Each like, compliment, or pat on the back is like a puff of air that inflates it. Sounds good, right? But here's the problem. What happens when those puffs of air stop? The constant pursuit of approval is like building your house on quicksand. It seems stable at first, but at any moment, everything could collapse. And trust me, my friend, you don't want to be there when that happens. Let me tell you a story that perfectly illustrates this point. One day, John decided to post a picture of his breakfast, just a simple bowl of oatmeal. He spent 20 minutes picking the perfect filter, another 10 writing a witty caption, and then waited. He checked his phone every 30 seconds for the next hour. When he finally got his first like, he nearly jumped for joy. But when 2 hours passed and he had only 5 likes, he spiraled into self-doubt. Is my life that boring? He wondered. Should I have added strawberries? It sounds funny, doesn't it? But many of us fall into the same trap, maybe in less obvious ways. Now, what would our friend Epictetus say about all this? This Stoic philosopher had a powerful view on the true source of self-worth. He said, "Do not seek for things to happen as you wish, but wish for things to happen as they do, and you will be happy." What Epictetus is teaching us is that our happiness and self-esteem should not depend on external factors that we cannot control. Instead of seeking approval from others, we should focus on our actions and values. So, how can we free ourselves from this trap of external validation? Here are some ideas. 1. Practice self-reflection. Ask yourself, why do you do what you do? Is it for you, or to impress others? 2. Set your own standards. Define what success means to you, not based on likes on social media. 3. Celebrate your personal achievements. It doesn't matter if no one else sees or understands them. 4. Get comfortable with disagreement. Not everyone will approve of your decisions, and that's okay. Remember, true validation comes from within. It's like having an endless supply of water in your own garden, instead of relying on the unpredictable rain of others' approval. So, the next time you find yourself craving a compliment or a like, stop, take a deep breath and ask yourself, do I really need this? Or can I find that validation within myself? Because at the end of the day, the only opinion that truly matters is yours, and that, my friend, is something no one can take away from you. 6. The invisible weight of unfair comparisons. Have you ever felt like you're in a never-ending race, always looking over your shoulder to see who's catching up to you? Imagine your life as a train journey. You're enjoying the scenery, moving at your own pace, when suddenly you see another train that seems to be going faster. What do? Many of us fall into the temptation of comparing ourselves, forgetting that each train has its own destination and its own track. Comparisons with others can steal our peace in such a subtle way that we don't even realize it. It's like a silent thief that takes our joy and satisfaction, leaving us with a void that seems impossible to fill. But we're not alone in this struggle. Even the people we admire, who seem to have it all figured out, wrestle with this inner demon. Take Lady Gaga, for example, one of the most successful artists of our time. In an interview, she revealed that for years she struggled with constant comparison to other artists, leading her to doubt herself and her unique talent. I used to look at other women in the industry and feel so insecure, she confessed. I wondered if I was pretty enough or if my music was good enough. This revelation shows us that even those at the top aren't immune to the poison of comparison. So, how can we free ourselves from this invisible burden? Here's where Stoic wisdom comes to our rescue. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, offers a powerful exercise to break free from the need to compare ourselves. The exercise is simple. Every time you find yourself comparing yourself to someone else, stop and ask yourself, is this under my control? The answer, inevitably, will be no. You can't control other people's talents, circumstances, or successes. The only thing you can control is your own actions and attitudes. Let's practice together. 1. Identify the comparative thought. I wish I were as successful as my coworker. 2. Stop and take a deep breath. 3. Ask yourself, is my coworker's success under my control? 4. Acknowledge that it's not. 5. Redirect your attention to what you can control. Your efforts, your dedication, your learning. This exercise may seem simple, but its power lies in repetition. Every time you practice it, you'll be strengthening your ability to focus on your own path instead of constantly watching someone else's. Remember, your journey is unique. It doesn't make sense to compare your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. Every person has their own pace, their own challenges, and their own victories. So, the next time you find yourself falling into the comparison trap, imagine you're back on that train. Instead of looking out the window and comparing yourself to other trains, focus on your own journey. Enjoy the scenery. Appreciate the stops along the way. And remember that every mile you travel is an achievement in itself. Because, at the end of the day, the only comparison that really matters is the one you make with yourself. Are you better today than you were yesterday? Are you moving toward your own goals? That, my friend, is what truly counts. Soon we'll continue exploring the last emotional traps we must avoid. But we are already equipped with valuable tools to protect our inner peace and move forward with confidence. Let's keep going, strengthening our wisdom and well-being. 7. The prison of unsolicited advice. Have you ever felt like everyone is an expert in your life, except for you? Today, we're diving into the 7th trap we must avoid. The prison of unsolicited advice. Imagine your mind as a house. You're the owner, but suddenly it seems like everyone has a key, barging in without invitation, rearranging the furniture, and telling you how to live your life. Frustrating, right? Unsolicited advice is like those unwanted guests. They show up unannounced, overstay their welcome, and often leave an emotional mess behind. But how can we handle this situation without turning into antisocial hermits? First, it's important to understand the difference between solicited and unsolicited advice. The former is like inviting a friend over for dinner. You expect it, appreciate it, and probably enjoy it. The latter is like that nosy neighbor who pops in just as you're about to sit down to eat. So, how can we courteously manage unsolicited advice? Here are a few strategies. Think but don't commit. A simple thanks for sharing your opinion can work wonders. Set clear boundaries. I appreciate your concern, but I prefer to handle this my way. Redirect the conversation. Shift the topic subtly to avoid further unsolicited advice. Use humor. Sometimes, a light joke can defuse the tension and get your point across. Remember, it's not about being rude, but about protecting your mental and emotional space. Now, what would our friend Marcus Aurelius say about all this? This philosopher-emperor had profound insights about inner wisdom. He wrote, "Look within. Inside is the fountain of good, and it will ever bubble up if you will ever dig." What Marcus Aurelius is teaching us is that true wisdom doesn't come from external sources, but from within ourselves. We don't need to constantly seek external advice. Instead, we should learn to trust our own intuition and experience. This doesn't mean we should ignore all advice. Sometimes external perspectives are valuable. The key is learning to filter, to distinguish between the advice we truly need and the advice that's simply noise. But let's be realistic. Not all advice is bad. The secret lies in knowing how to discern between the helpful and the irrelevant. A golden rule I like to follow is, only take advice from people who are where you want to be. For example, in my personal life, I have a YouTube channel, and I regularly go to the gym. If someone who has never created online content gives me advice on how to manage my channel, I'll likely take it with a grain of salt. But if a successful YouTuber offers their opinion, I'll definitely pay attention. The same goes for the gym. If someone who's never lifted a weight tells me how to train, I'll appreciate their interest but stick to my own path. However, if an experienced trainer gives me advice, I'll consider it more seriously. So, the next time you find yourself bombarded by unsolicited advice, take a deep breath. Remember that you are the expert in your own life. No one knows your situation better than you. Practice the art of listening politely, but don't feel obligated to follow every piece of advice you receive. Treat unsolicited advice like a buffet. Take what serves you and leave the rest. Remember, the most important voice you need to listen to is your own. As Marcus Aurelius would say, the true source of wisdom lies within you, waiting to be discovered. So, are you ready to free yourself from the prison of unsolicited advice? Remember, your mind is your castle, and you decide who gets to enter and who stays. Don't be afraid to be the guardian of your own thoughts and decisions. Let's dive into one of the most beguiling traps of modern life, the mirage of quick fixes. We've all been there, standing at the crossroads of a problem, feeling the weight of our struggles bearing down on us. And in that moment of weakness or frustration, the idea of a magical solution, a shortcut, shines like a beacon of hope. Have you ever found yourself thinking, if only there were a faster way to fix this? If only I could bypass all the hard work and just make it happen now? The allure is undeniable. But as you might already know, these quick fixes are nothing more than a shimmering illusion, a mirage in the desert of life's challenges. Imagine your life as an enormous, intricate puzzle. Each piece represents a moment of growth, a challenge overcome, a lesson learned. Now, what if someone came along, offering you a magic glue that promised to snap all those pieces together instantly, without the need for effort or thought? It sounds tempting, right? But think about it. Would that really lead to a beautiful picture? Or would you just end up with a chaotic, sticky mess? That's exactly what quick fixes do. They promise you everything but give you nothing lasting. In fact, they often leave you in a worse position than before, feeling disillusioned and lost. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment number 2 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. So why do we keep falling for this trap? Why do we continue to reach for that magic pill? The one-step solution that promises to solve all our problems overnight. Psychologists at the University of Pennsylvania conducted a fascinating study that sheds light on this very question. They found that our brains are hardwired to seek the path of least resistance when we're faced with a complex or overwhelming situation. It's a survival mechanism deeply ingrained in our primitive instincts. Our brains crave immediate solutions, quick relief from discomfort, even if the logical part of us knows that true, lasting change doesn't happen that way. But here's the harsh truth. Life doesn't work like that. Real growth, real success, real transformation, all of these require time, patience, and effort. There is no magic pill for success, no easy road that skips over the struggles. Every meaningful achievement, every worthwhile challenge, demands that you roll up your sleeves and get to work. You have to show up again and again, even when the progress is slow, even when the road feels endless. And yet the world is full of tempting shortcuts, isn't it? Just take a quick scroll through your social media feed, and you're bombarded with advertisements promising overnight success. Lose 30 pounds in a week. Get rich with this one simple trick. Find instant happiness with this easy 5-step formula. These promises play on our deepest desires and insecurities, whispering in our ears that we can bypass the hard work, that we can skip the struggle and go straight to the reward. But the truth is, these quick fixes are nothing more than illusions, fleeting solutions that crumble the moment you lean on them. This is where the wisdom of the Stoics comes in, offering us a much-needed reality check. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, once said, "No great thing is created suddenly." Let those words sink in. True success, real mastery, deep personal growth, none of these things can be rushed. They cannot be bought, and they cannot be hacked. They are earned slowly, through consistent effort, resilience, and the willingness to embrace the journey. no matter how long or difficult it may be. Think of it like this. Life is not a sprint. It's not even a marathon. It's an endless path, one that twists and turns, filled with obstacles and detours. And while the world may try to convince you that you can skip ahead or find a shortcut, the reality is that there are no shortcuts to a life well lived. The most beautiful destinations are reached not by cutting corners, but by walking the path with intention, one step at a time. But how do we resist the powerful pull of quick fixes? How do we shift our mindset and start valuing the journey instead of constantly searching for the fast track? It starts with a change in perspective. Instead of viewing challenges as obstacles to be avoided, we need to see them for what they really are, opportunities for growth. Each difficulty you encounter is a chance to learn, to strengthen your resolve, to become more resilient. It's not something to be skipped over or fixed quickly. It's something to be embraced. Here's a Stoic-inspired approach to help you do just that. 1. Define your challenge clearly. Start by identifying exactly what you're facing. Don't allow yourself to be vague or wishy-washy. The more clearly you define the problem, the easier it will be to approach it with purpose. 2. Accept that complexity is part of the process. Big challenges are rarely simple. Life's most significant problems often come with layers of complexity. And that's okay. Embrace the complexity rather than wishing for a quick fix. 3. Develop a long-term plan. Quick fixes promise immediate results, but real success comes from careful, long-term planning. Set realistic goals and break them down into smaller, manageable steps. This allows you to focus on making consistent progress, even if it's slow. 4. Cultivate patience. Remember that patience is a virtue, not just a cliche. Every meaningful achievement takes time. Be patient with yourself and with the process. 5. Celebrate every small victory. Quick fixes make you believe that success happens all at once, but in reality, it's the accumulation of small victories that lead to big breakthroughs. Take time to celebrate each step forward, no matter how small. Next time you feel tempted to reach for an easy solution, pause. Take a deep breath and ask yourself, am I really solving the problem? Or am I just avoiding the hard work? Lasting solutions don't come from quick fixes or magical shortcuts. They come from putting in the effort, staying committed to the process, and learning to embrace the journey, no matter how long it takes. And remember the wise words of Epictetus. Difficulties are what show people who they are. Challenges aren't there to stop you. They're there to reveal you. They're there to teach you about your own strength, resilience, and capacity for growth. Don't be fooled by the mirage of quick fixes. Instead, step into the challenges with your eyes wide open. Because, in the end, it's not the easy solutions that make us who we are. It's the consistent effort, the perseverance, and the willingness to grow through every difficulty that shapes us into the best version of ourselves. As you continue on this journey, remember that the true reward isn't in finding a shortcut. It's in discovering who you are along the way. The challenges, the setbacks, the moments of doubt, they are all part of your story. And with every step you take, you're writing a story of resilience, strength, and unwavering commitment to your own growth. Seek growth, not shortcuts, and you'll find that the journey itself is the greatest reward of all. 9. Let's take a moment to reflect on something that we rarely talk about but often feel weighed down by. The guilt that doesn't belong to us. Have you ever felt like you were carrying a burden that wasn't yours to bear? Like you had somehow become a magnet for other people's guilt? Imagine your mind as a beautifully cultivated garden. You've spent time nurturing it, planting seeds of positive thoughts, self-compassion, and healthy emotions. But suddenly, someone walks in uninvited, hurling their weeds, filled with guilt, blame, and negativity, right into your peaceful space. What do? For many of us, our instinct is to accept those weeds without thinking twice. We take on guilt that doesn't belong to us, often to keep the peace or to avoid confrontation. But when you accept someone else's guilt, you're not just taking it in, you're nurturing it. Like watering weeds, you give that guilt life and space to grow. Before long, your mental garden is overrun, your energy is drained, and you find yourself tangled in emotions that aren't even yours to begin with. So, why is this such a harmful habit? For one, it robs us of the energy that we could be using to grow, to nurture ourselves, and to pursue our own goals. Instead of tending to our own emotional health, we become caretakers of someone else's problems. Second, accepting misplaced guilt distorts our perception of reality. We start to believe we are responsible for things we had no control over, and that illusion traps us in a cycle of self-blame. Lastly, by absorbing this guilt, we become trapped in patterns of victimhood, where we internalize the belief that we are constantly at fault. So, how do we break free from this suffocating cycle? How do we protect ourselves from the guilt that doesn't belong to us? It starts with recognizing that boundaries are not just a luxury. They're essential for maintaining your inner peace. Establishing healthy emotional boundaries is like building a fence around your mental garden. It doesn't mean you stop caring for others. It means you stop letting their weeds take root in your space. Here's a practical, Stoic-inspired technique for protecting yourself from misplaced guilt. Identify. Start by recognizing when someone is trying to transfer their guilt onto you. Pay attention to situations where you feel an unwarranted sense of responsibility for someone else's emotions or actions. Breathe before you respond. Take a deep breath. This helps you center yourself and avoid reacting impulsively. It gives you the space to decide how you want to handle the situation. Validate. Acknowledge the other person's feelings without accepting their guilt. You can show empathy without allowing their emotions to take root in your own mind. For example, you might say, "I understand that you're upset, but I don't believe this is something I need to feel guilty about." Set boundaries. Communicate clearly that you won't take on guilt that isn't yours. This could be as simple as saying, "I'm sorry you feel that way, but I don't think I'm responsible for what happened." Redirect. Gently encourage the person to seek constructive solutions to their own problems instead of looking to you for emotional relief. Offer support, but don't let it turn into emotional caretaking. By practicing these steps, you'll begin to see your mental garden flourish again, free of the weeds of other people's guilt. Remember the wise words of Epictetus. It's not things that disturb us, but our opinions about them. What he's telling us is that we have the power to choose how we interpret situations. We decide whether or not to let guilt settle into our minds. The next time someone tries to pass their guilt onto you, remind yourself, you are the gardener of your own mind. You have the power to decide which plants thrive there and which ones need to be pulled out. It's not about being insensitive or uncaring toward other struggles. It's about protecting your mental and emotional well-being. You can offer empathy without carrying their guilt on your shoulders. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment number 3 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Every time you reject guilt that doesn't belong to you, you're planting seeds of self-esteem and self-respect. And those are the most beautiful, resilient flowers you can grow in your mental garden. Throughout this journey, we've explored some of the most insidious traps that can rob us of our inner peace. Traps like unsolicited opinions, the weight of others' expectations, and now, misplaced guilt. But what do we do with this newfound awareness? This is where the art of wise rejection comes into play. Wise rejection isn't about shutting yourself off from the world or refusing to engage with people. It's about becoming selective, carefully choosing what you allow into your life. Think of yourself as the gatekeeper of an exclusive club, your mind. Not everyone deserves entry, and not every thought, emotion, or responsibility belongs inside. Wise rejection is the fence that protects your mental garden from the invasive weeds of negativity and misplaced emotions. So how do you practice wise rejection without feeling guilty about it? Here are some strategies. Recognize your value. Remind yourself that your time, energy, and emotional space are valuable. You have every right to protect them. Be kind but firm. Setting boundaries doesn't require harshness. You can be gentle and compassionate while still being firm and protecting your mental space. Offer alternatives when possible. Sometimes, saying no doesn't have to be final. It can be a not right now or in a different way. This gives you control over how you engage without sacrificing your boundaries. Practice self-reflection. Regularly ask yourself if the commitments you've taken on are serving your growth. If they're not, it's time to let them go. Now, I want you to do a final exercise to put everything you've learned into practice. Take a piece of paper and divide it into 2 columns. In the first column, list all the things you've been accepting in your life that no longer serve you, whether it's toxic relationships, burdensome commitments, or lingering guilt. In the second column, write down what you stand to gain by letting go of each of these things. It could be more time, mental peace, emotional freedom, or energy to pursue your true passions. This exercise will give you clarity on what you need to start wisely rejecting. Remember, every no you say to something that doesn't serve you is a yes to your personal growth. Wise rejection is not about building walls. It's about creating space for what truly matters. It's like cleaning out your emotional closet. You need to discard what no longer fits in order to make room for what will enrich your life. So, the next time you face a decision, ask yourself, does this deserve a place in my mental garden? If the answer is no, don't hesitate to reject it. You're not just saying no. You're saying yes to protecting your inner peace, your self-worth, and your potential for growth. In this video, we've uncovered the emotional traps that can sneak into our lives and hold us back. Unsolicited opinions, unrealistic expectations, misplaced guilt, and the dangerous allure of quick fixes, just to name a few. Each lesson brings us closer to reclaiming our inner peace and building a life that is truly our own. So now, I want to hear from you. What have you learned today that resonates the most? What's one lesson you're committed to practicing in your own life? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found value in this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more insights and inspiration. Thank you for watching, and let's continue growing together.